Warning, this show contains adult language, so viewer and listener discretion is advised. Welcome to another edition of Up and In It. I'm your host, Adrian Babashoff, and if you're new here, welcome as well. And if you're wondering what the show's about, it's entirely dedicated to improving quality of life for both people and planet through liberation and independence, moving you from surviving to thriving and living life on your own terms. Today is episode 239, and it's UnEducate Yourself. And what do I mean by that? I mean, for the better. I think that a lot of us are educated in a way that we are being leveraged, and a lot of us don't understand let's make a distinction really first. Now, if you want to be a brain surgeon, or you want to do something, be a lawyer or things like that, I think that it's definitely school is for you, especially if you're going to work for somebody. I think all those people who need to get a job, not necessarily all of those, not, it's in very specialty high things where you're removing someone's fucking heart or brain or something like that. You kind of need to know what you're doing, But even then, I think that there's a couple of ways that you wouldn't have to say like a mortician or something like that. I really actually think that you can apprentice with a mortician and you would be able to figure out, the body's already dead and things like that. I know that's a cryptic kind of weird one, but the body's already dead and things like that. You maybe have to remove certain organs or do certain things like that, but I definitely look at things like that would seem critical, and I think that you'd be able to learn to do them. Butchering animals and things like that. I don't think that machine workers and stuff, I don't think that you need like a very high education. And in fact, what we have is a lot of millionaires. I talk a lot about this because it's a great inspiration of mine. They're down talking public education or just sometimes education in general. And when I make a clear distinction, uneducate yourself, the way that we are being strayed upon is what, and this is all just my opinion, where a lot of these millionaires said no one ever asked them for their GED or their fucking, diploma or what credentials of, when they're making a business deal, how many years of college did you do before we could actually make this business deal? They're like, they know that this person has $1 million. They're willing to spend it. And the receiving end does not give a shit about where your education and all that came from. They want to know about what you've done. They want to know about how much money you have before we make this business deal. Who is this person? Are they going to be able to, what have they done in the past? Do they own properties? What assets do they have, right? When it comes down to it, it's assets. And one thing that I look at the way we've been educated so far is it's complete liability. And what do I mean by that? I think that all you have to do is look around you and see how much shit is actually failing, crumbling. Our systems are cracking. And I think that our governments and our teachers and our so-called leaders have no fucking idea what to do about it. Maybe they do. Maybe they've got some things. I don't know. This is all just my opinion. But for the well-being of the common man, how well is the education system done for them? Even our teachers. Look at our teachers who are raising our children basically for us while we're gone at work. This whole system, this lifestyle design, we're so busy trying to pay the bills. And mind you, I said try. Most people are living paycheck to paycheck, hand to mouth. And their kids they're separated from their children who are being raised to do the exact same fucking thing. A lot of people don't know about it, proper investing. They don't know the difference between assets and liabilities and things like that. None of these things are actually in public education in general. Not even around from your elders, because your elders don't know. And as a lot of these rich people say that, some of them say that we've been warned. It's like a big secret. It's the veil. And the way these systems have been designed, like money, for example, is just a curtain. Cash is trash, as some of these people say. Investing to own things. Money has nothing to do with it. Sure, it gives you leverage, but you need some to get yourself ahead. But once you get it, you want to get rid of that money and invest it as soon as possible because of things such as inflation and things like that. Whereas we have people who are, and I can't full-blown blame the public education, in a sense that some people just aren't smart enough and maybe they're not go-getters enough where they care to educate themselves further to understand these things. But I do blame them in the sense that it's not, and maybe not in all cases, but the majority of cases, it's never presented to the student. Maybe you might want to take a look at these things because obviously they don't know themselves. And if we look at the average, what is it, like $75,000 or something a year, I think. I didn't look too far at it because it's not that fucking important to me. But I know some people who are educators, who are teachers, And they don't really make a lot of money. Teaching first grade, high school, and things like that. Maybe a lot of these college professors are making money, but look at what happened with the whole COVID thing, where a lot of things are online now. A lot of these people don't have to present their information. And a lot of it's just regurgitated information where you can grab a book or the literature that they're prescribing to you, and you can just read it yourself. Maybe you may have a few things that you may need explained to you. But the simple of the matter, the fact is that a lot of things are changing. And I believe that they're changing for the better. But the reason why the inspiration for UnEducate Yourself is, let's go back. Let's go back in a little history of public education and what I found out about it. It's very interesting. I think it's a podcast that I really like. I'm not sure. Joshua something from Radical Personal Finance, I think it is. You can check that. I tried to find the podcast so I could put a link in the show today, but could not find it. Basically, he was reading a book some literature from, believe it or not, Playboy magazine. But it was, I think it was Montana, the governor of Montana or something like that, refused to, they wanted to change their education system. And he basically, the old mayor of Montana, who showed that originally when public education was taken by the Germans, I believe, it was so I believe it was the Germans from Germany. It was a certain guy. I can't remember the name of it. It was a certain style of learning that was that worked so great that they adopted it in the United States, in the UK and England and things like that. But what happened is, in the old days we had large families. There was a lot of people who weren't very educated, and what happened is once they built the education system, they says you got to put your kids in school, and if you don't, we'll actually come take your children. And we will put them in school, and we'll put them in boarding houses and things like that. They literally took people's children. Part of the adoption of the public education system came from where kids were actually, before there was public education, they were working in factories. There was actually child slave labor, basically. They showed kids full of dirt and grease and things like that. Some of them were worked to death. And humanitarians at some point just says, we cannot do this type of thing. This is wrong. We can't, be working children like this. So they designed public education system. And one of them was pointing out, I don't want to just follow, it sounds like conspiracy theories and stuff like that. But what in this dialogue, they were saying that if you look at the public education, the schools, they have a bell, they have a door, where you when the bell rings, you attend class, you sit down, you ask if you can go to the restroom. You have to ask permission to leave the class. All kinds of different things. They're fenced in, and they're inside this institution that looks like a factory. Basically, it's a factory setting. And basically, what he pointed out was that they're preparing these kids so that when they are adults, they're able to function in a factory. And if you really take a good look at it, it almost seems like that's the case. But what really gets me, and I don't think you have to look too far, as I said, is to look at how this is benefit. How does this make the world better? Sure, we have some further education, people who know maybe a lot more than what they did. You take a 7-year-old and he could probably tell you a hell of a lot more things than somebody in the early 1900s, a corn farmer, but how good is that information, that education? How far has it got us? And in my book, looking around me, I don't believe very far. A lot of the majority, we have a lot of middle class that are suffering right now. There's a big divide here in 2021, and a lot of people losing their shit, a lot of people just struggling. And it's basically, when you look at life, what's the important things? Learn about health, right? Be a healthy human being so you can live a long, healthy life. You need to get cardio, you need to get exercise and things like that. Yes, they have PE, physical education and things like that in school, but are people taught about wear and tear on their bones and things like that from doing something over and over again? How to make money? I think money is probably the biggest one for me to look at, that we're going to prepare this person to go out in life, and that's pretty much what our system relies on, is money. Is exchange your time, $4, to pay for the things that you need, the food that's being grown, that's being sprayed with pesticides and things like that. A lot of things that we're not educated about. So that's where I come from, to uneducate yourself on the matters of here and get more into improvising, getting more into thinking for yourself. And I think that's actually the key to not buy exactly what you're given. We just spoke yesterday about obsoletism and how things just aren't built with integrity anymore. We're a throwaway society. We're throwing our money away by going to Walmarts and things like that. And we're eating animals that are completely mistreated. They're grown in a factory setting, and they're, through automation, are being shocked to death and dunked. For those of you who don't know, uneducate yourself on the rest of this shit that's boggling up and taking up all that mental space and time in your head, because there's only so much that we can learn, right? Once you get away from that, and then you start to educate yourself on things that you're interested in, that you really want to know about, such as what I'm going to tell you now, is that they have a razor, and they have these chickens. They tie their feet up, they put them on a hook, it goes down this conveyor belt, the big old chain. They're hanging upside down, they get shocked. Some of them don't get shocked enough to die, so they're still alive. They come up to this razor thing that sticks inside the bottom of the gut and literally rips the chicken in half, guts the chicken out. Some of them are done alive. They start flapping all over the place. They're pooing all over the place. The guts, I know this is disgusting, but this is real. This is why you'll have your chicken. You could do your own research. Is 12% poo-poo soup, water. Meat retains water. So when these chickens are basically ripped apart, they're dunked into several vats of chlorinated water to kill the bacteria and rinse off all the guts and the poo and everything, because the machine can't be as precise as a human hand. So as these things are being dunked in the water's getting dirtier, and there's full of chlorine, and they find that's why your chicken will come in yellow. Fresh chicken, good organic home chicken, actually smells sweet, and it's got a pink color to it, not a yellow color. And you can literally, when you smell the meat, it's, like I said, sweet, not kind of off where, anyways. I didn't want to freak you guys out with that one, but let's get back to the subject matter here. What is our job? What am I exactly fucking saying here? What is your job as a parent? Your job as a parent is to be able to take care and prepare your child's life. Same thing as a teacher. Do we feel like we're prepared? Do you feel like you were prepared yourself enough? I know I certainly don't. I certainly do not. I was educated enough to figure out how to run my own businesses and things like that. I think that it's the actual saving of my mind to have dropped out super early in school and start using my own innovations, my own magic of my mind. That's where I've made the most money. If somebody sat me down right now and said, were you able to make a 6-figure income? And I would say it had absolutely fucking nothing to do with fucking what I was taught in school. Nothing. It had nothing to do that my parents taught me. Really didn't have anything to do that anybody fucking taught me. Other than reading books, uneducating myself from the form of the world that we have right now, and starting to improvise and starting to look and renovate things and go, So when I went to this big sale to try to close a deal, what I did is I shut up and I listened and I watched and I listened to what everybody's saying. They're all saying the same thing. I've said this before in a past podcast. And what I did is I looked at that and said, that's very interesting. And as these people spoke their sales pitch, I was able to watch how the people were responding. And you can imagine, when 5 people are saying the exact same shit, that gives them no incentive to go with one or the other. They're all saying the same thing. So then you get a guy like me who went and grabbed the best of the best, this is, in your thinking, in your living, in your lifestyle design, that's what I look at. Find what makes sense to you. So what made sense for me in my sales is I grabbed all the best of the best knowledge I had from all different manufacturers, applications of the products and things like that. And I put them all together in one bundle. And then I came out not buying into one or the other. I came out completely different from these guys. No, I'm not certified. Well, I am certified by a few of them, but I don't care for a lot of their products. I like some of them. And what I'm going to do is pull the best that I've seen and that I've trialed and tested myself, that I've left out. Innovations, again, that I did samples and left them out in the sun for, some of them were going on 3 to 4 years. I found out that this one wilted a lot faster, this one cracked, this one maintained. These are the ones that I know for sure that I want to use, and that's what I present to you. Bam, I won the job. I found such things as samples where you can beat the hell out of them with a hammer, run them over with your car, and these are the critical parts where joints and buildings move and things like that. And nobody else has the presentation that I did. What I do, and I would do this in private, I didn't give all of my secrets away, but I'd give them the sample and say, go home, Talk is talk, but let's get to the real stuff. I want you to get a lunch, and I want you to go to work on it with a hammer, a screwdriver, run it over with your car, put it on the railroad tracks, whatever you want to do. Just try to beat the hell out of this thing. This is one of the products that I use. Sold me a shit ton of money. So as our jobs as parents is to teach our children to get them ready, especially in this world, that I say, in the monetary system, how to make fucking money. I think equally, too, is how to take care of yourself. We talked about compartmentalism, and that's the whole problem that I see with our society is we're educated in singular things, and we're not diversified enough to make changes in life. And I think a lot of the old ways that are still, those are the old ways, we don't do. No, we talked about that. A lot of those old ways, even old things that were manufactured, still stand the test of time today. There are certain things that are absolutes where I look at, and I said this, as a fallback plan, let's just look, a little rant here. Let's look at where our dependency right now, the supply chain of meat got disrupted. We had billions of pounds of potatoes. The supply chain got disrupted, all because of our technology. All the money that we have, even rich people, if that supply chain gets disrupted even further, your money doesn't mean shit. You can't go buy the meat. But then we look at the poor or the smart farmer who's raising his own meat and potatoes and things like that. Why would he want to sell to you? And this has happened before in history, right? He's got everything he needs. I'd like to say for myself too, minimally affected by this whole fucking COVID bullshit fiasco that's been going on. I've got enough food to last me for probably about 4 months. I got enough money to last me probably like 3 fucking years. I can sit and do fucking nothing. I have been a little bit affected by the COVID thing. I noticed that a lot of my clients, I'm not getting as many as I used to, but it doesn't bother me fucking one bit. Everything just keeps moving along. And in fact, I'm innovating. I'm improvising with things to where I'm going to have multiple businesses to fall back on. And I almost look at this. I'm growing my own food and things like I'm designing my life out of this system into a new system, into the alternative lifestyle design, which I coined it, which again comes from my free thinking of thought. And that's why the whole premise of the show is I'm here. We can do things different. We need to educate ourselves. We need to uneducate ourselves on the way we've been brought up to think, and for obsoletism and compartmentalism and everything, and start diversifying ourselves. And that's the getting back on track here. That's the whole, to me, for parents, is you need to teach your kids about money. You need to teach them about health. You need to teach them about all of these things, because teachers, they can't, classroom setting teachers, they can't teach the kids everything. And how the fuck are you going to reach each individual kid who thinks differently, who can't get it? From my knowledge, I think it is, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, there's like 30, 40 kids to a fucking class. How could you give individual attention to each kid and find out what's going on? Why are you failing at these things? Where could we help? Maybe we should just change this whole thing up because you're just not good at this, because we have a pill for every ill, right? A compartmentalism. Everybody's going to learn this way. We have a format. Well, guess what? A lot of people don't know how to learn. Some people are more visual. Some people are more audio. Some people just don't give a shit. Some people have just left the fuck alone, like myself. They can innovate. They're probably an entrepreneur. If they're a know-it-all, they're a hard-headed son of a bitch. I think the perfect thing to do, because the harder you try to drill and get these people tacked down, the harder they fight, and then the harder they close up. The best thing to do with a person like that is to just put them off on their own, let them run their own business. They fuck up, it's all on their own shoulders. And then it's like Confucius, the knife is sharp. Once they get cut, they understand that the fucking knife is sharp, and now they know, but they had to get cut first. As I always say, hopefully they don't cut themselves too bad, the know-it-alls, and bleed to death and, really fuck up their life, go into debt and all that kind of crazy shit. But yeah, teachers, I think the fault of a lot of parents is what I'm seeing in our education system. And I don't just, like I said, put it on the public education side that's all their fault. It's their fart. That actually makes sense too. But it's the parents' fault too. Listen to my uneducated fucking vocabulary here. The parents aren't there. And a lot of us need elders. A lot of us need our old elders. I grew up in a Russian community where I had lots of elders. I had grandfathers and uncles and stuff like that. And there were people to teach me certain things. And I still have friends now that are old timers, old guys. And when I need to learn how to fix something or I have a problem, I don't have very many. I'm able to go to them, ask them some questions, get some really, really good advice. And sometimes I look at what they say and I say exactly what I don't want to do. I just got verified that this is all bullshit. You know, what I mean by that is that, you know, you look at the systems and everything that be, and you ask advice. Somebody's basically like a fat person telling you need to get skinny, a poor person telling you how to get rich. You know, you ask money advice and things like that, how to invest and how things working for you. And then you watch the people go down. You're like, well, obviously you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And not to beat those people up. I think a lot of them just kind of don't know as well. They weren't educated even in their time of these certain things. So, well, we were going on a while here. In the end, I have in my notes here is there are no borders, really. I think that the biggest thing is for individuals, you know, to teach themselves. You know, basically, what responsibility, what accountability have you taken for yourself? And I think a lot of people like to point outwards and say, well, it's because of the public education system, which I'm not 100%, you know, agreeing with, because of I think there's a lot of problems. There's just a lot of shit they filled your fucking brain up with that you didn't have time to see this other things. And I think that's the whole game. I hear from certain parents, well, keep them fucking busy so they stay out of trouble. How about teaching them how to stay out of fucking trouble? How about teaching them? And I understand, you know, I kind of have some things going on in my life too where you try to educate them and they just don't want to fucking learn. And it's Confucius, the knife is sharp. But we need to get people to inspire themselves. You know, we got people going to Tony Robbins fucking gigs and things like that. No way shitting on Tony Robbins at all, these inspirational life designers and stuff like that. But, you know, if you got to have somebody inspire yourself, you know, and you don't keep up with it, you got a fucking problem. You need to inspire yourself. You have to have the magic. And once you have that, you're unfucking stoppable. And that's the freedom. That's the whole premise of the show. And when you start to think for yourself and you're able to conjure up, be able to create whatever it is that you want, instead of having to buy in what's given to you, even down to our education system. That's why I say uneducate yourself away from these things and start to educate yourself on the way things actually work for fucking you, and not the way it's supposed to work for the majority of everybody, all homogenized and fucking, and what's the word I'm saying, domesticized, these human beings who are afraid of a fucking shadow, right? Damn, I'm getting all crazy on you guys. Sorry about that. But no, I really feel that way. I really feel that these borders and everything they're oubliettes. They're prisons and walls of just thin air. It's all just a curtain to divert you, to turn you into just a regular old worker, to make you support our whole systems as a cash cow, as a fucking aphid, as we talked about that before, as a herd. And as the herd moves around, we can control them. We can control them with fear. We can control them with information, which is another thing I want to say. I know I'm taking too much time here. The one thing I look at nowadays is the wave of information, the influx of the ocean of information that we have with the internet. And I think that a lot of people who want to believe in a certain thing, the scariest thing that we have right now when you're educating yourself, you will fucking find it. You want to believe in conspiracy theories. You want to disprove conspiracy theories. You want to, whatever the hell that you want to learn, there are tons of people with very educational material, very smart, and very evident things that are out there where you can look at this and go, fuck, that is real, man. How could that be fake? And then somebody else on the opposite polarity comes out and goes, well, that's fake, you know, because of this. They weren't talking about all this stuff, were they? Just like the news. The news gives you certain portions of stuff, but they don't give you the full findings, even in our scientific discoveries. They don't give you all of it, right? So it's up to you guys to notice that the borders are all your mental perception. It's up to each for these children, for us to teach these kids that all these are obstructions and things that can literally be removed. We can go around them. We can innovate our lives and start using our own magic of mind to reinvent things and start doing stuff our own way. Because like I said, in the end, everybody learns different. I know this because of sales. When I started doing, or some people with written literature, some people that are more vocal, some people who, when I show pictures, the majority of people, when you teach with pictures or present a sales with pictures and video, does way better. But listen to these millionaires. As I said, here's a fat fuck trying to tell you to get fucking skinny. Here's a poor fucking son of a bitch trying to teach you how to get rich. Let's look at some of these people who are offering their information right now on why this education system sucks, why so many people are being fooled and will be poor for the rest of their fucking lives. They'll be poor. They will never get ahead. You'll never pass go. You may get a get out of jail free card every once in a while, but that's it. This is a positive. We just need to start focusing our attention. There's only so much that the mind can take, I see, and I know that a lot of people are stressed out. And what a perfect design. Think about it. Your kids are separated from you in school. They grow up. They don't even respect you that much. They leave to do their own thing. The cycle keeps repeating itself. Everybody's left alone to do their own shit. You're all on your own, and nobody's fucking getting anywhere. And the old storytellers and things, it was very well known that when the British, I think, invaded, I think it was in Australia, I think it was the Brits, and they killed off a lot of the shamans, the storytellers. This is the first fucking thing they did. That way you get rid of those people who can't retell the stories and teach the children and keep things afloat. And sooner or later, as the generations go, they all forget, right? They all forgot where they came from. The stories got jumbled up and everything. And now we're in a system doing things and we don't even know why. We were able to migrate freely before. We were able to hunt our own food. We didn't own the land. We didn't have to own anything. We were able to just we were able to sleep, in a hut without having to have a fucking permit for it. I know I'm going off over here, but I hope that wasn't too negative on you guys. I meant this show to come out as a positive, and if it did give you guys some value, please like and subscribe, review my show, help it to get off the ground here. I know I get a little passionate about some things there, but mainly when I look at these things is that if something ever happened to me, I like leaving this trail behind for my kids to just kind of listen to my fucking bullshit and be like, where the fuck was that dumb asshole going? Where was he thinking, But I see myself living a really good life, and I see myself innovating a lot of different, doing things completely different. And it's working out. It's working out great, and I want that for everybody else. I just want freedom. You don't have to be rich. I'm not saying be rich. I'm not even saying being a thousandaire like myself. Just be able to be happy and be able to do things, to be able to move, to be able to migrate spiritually, with your knowledge, with your happiness, with your money, with everything. Be able to move around and know that we're not stuck, and life doesn't have to be this way. We don't have to live like sick individuals. It's just what we have not been educated the right way. So that's it, guys. UpAndInIt.com. You guys can find the website in case I ever get deplatformed. UpAndInItShow@gmail.com. You guys can leave me a comment. Let me know how I'm doing. Let me know if you got something you guys want to hear about. Everything's always in the descriptions below or above, wherever the fuck I'm posting this shit. But guys, Up and In It on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and anywhere we can find the podcast. And as I always say, go out there and have yourself a near-life experience. And I mean it this time. Don't lose your muchness. Yeah, I guess I mean it every fucking time. Carry on the fire. Human the fuck up. Live it, love it, own it, and bone it, my friends.